Today, dogs live in almost every corner of the world. They accompany hunters, assist rescue teams, guide the visually impaired, and become beloved members of our families. But tens of thousands of years ago, their ancestors were wild wolves. And the most fascinating part is that modern research increasingly suggests that humans may not have been the first to tame wolves. Instead, wolves may have taken the first step toward us. Genetic studies show that all modern dogs descended from an ancient population of Ice Age wolves that is now extinct. This process began somewhere between 15 and 40,000 years ago, long before the rise of agriculture. That makes the dog the very first animal to form a lasting relationship with human civilization. For a long time, scientists believed that ancient people captured wolf pups, raised them, and gradually transformed them into domestic animals. Today, however, many researchers consider a different explanation to be more likely: the self-domestication hypothesis. During the Stone Age, human camps gradually accumulated food waste, bones, scraps of meat, and other leftovers. For wolves, these camps became an almost endless source of food, but not every wolf could approach people safely. The most aggressive animals were driven away or killed, while the calmer and less fearful ones gained access to this easy source of food. Each new generation inherited these behavioral traits. Over time, these wolves became less aggressive and increasingly tolerant of human presence. Natural selection, rather than intentional breeding, may have been the first step in the evolution of dogs. Interestingly, changes in behavior also began to affect the animal's appearance. Strong evidence for this came from the famous experiment conducted by Soviet geneticist Dmitry Belyaev. Over several decades, researchers selectively bred silver foxes, choosing only the friendliest individuals. Within just a few generations, the foxes not only became comfortable around humans, but also developed floppy ears, shorter snouts, curled tails, and even changes in coat color, traits commonly associated with domestic dogs. Modern genetics supports these findings. Dogs possess genetic changes related to behavior, stress response, and even digestion. For example, they have significantly more copies of the AMY2B gene, which helps digest starch. This adaptation allowed dogs to thrive on leftover human food that contained increasing amounts of plant-based carbohydrates. Archaeological discoveries also help complete the picture. The oldest known dog remains are up to 30,000 years old, although researchers still debate whether they truly belong to domesticated dogs. By around 14,000 years ago, however, there is convincing evidence of a close bond between humans and dogs. One of the most famous discoveries comes from Bonn Oberkassel in present-day Germany. There, archaeologists uncovered the burial of a man, a woman, and a young dog. Studies revealed that the dog had suffered from canine distemper shortly before its death. Without weeks of dedicated care, it could not have survived. This means the people cared for the animal despite receiving no obvious practical benefit in return. An even older discovery was made in what is now Israel. Archaeologists found the burial of a woman whose hand rested on her dog. The find suggests that an emotional bond between humans and dogs had already existed thousands of years earlier. Over time, dogs became indispensable hunting companions. Their exceptional hearing and sense of smell helped track prey, warn of danger, and protect camps. Some researchers even suggest that the partnership between humans and dogs gave Homo sapiens a significant advantage over other ancient human species, including Neanderthals, although this idea remains the subject of scientific debate. Around 11,500 years ago, the agricultural revolution transformed the role of dogs once again. They began guarding settlements, herding livestock, and were selectively bred for specific tasks. This marked the true beginning of intentional dog breeding. Modern ancient DNA research shows that by about 11,000 years ago, at least 5 distinct dog lineages already existed and later mixed with one another. This suggests that domestication likely occurred in several different regions rather than in a single location. Over thousands of years of living together, not only did dogs change, but humans changed as well. Studies show that dogs can understand human gestures, recognize facial expressions, interpret the tone of our voices, and even respond to our emotions. In these abilities, they outperform even wolves that have been raised by humans from birth. It is no surprise that nearly every ancient civilization regarded dogs as special. In Egypt, Anubis guided the souls of the dead. In Greek mythology, the three-headed Cerberus guarded the entrance to the underworld. Across countless cultures, dogs became enduring symbols of loyalty, protection, and devotion. Today, scientists continue investigating the origins of dogs using increasingly advanced genetic technologies. But one conclusion is already clear. The story of the dog is not simply the story of a single species. It is the story of two species that have shaped each other for tens of thousands of years. And perhaps humanity's best friend did not appear because humans decided to tame wolves. Perhaps one day, the boldest and most curious wolves took the first step toward us. And that single step changed the history of both species forever.